We usually save a matchup like this for the postseason. We may still this year. Louisville City and Pittsburgh Riverhounds just 2 weeks into the regular season from Lynn Family Stadium. Joined by Ricky Lopez Aspen, Mike Watts on hand. And these two sides have played some remarkable games over the years. Let's go back to October of 2022. 2 goals down. Louisville 2 goals in the last 10 minutes to get it to extra time. Win it in penalties. For whatever reason, Louisville always has the Hounds number in the playoffs.
And it's been very interesting because we had the ability to talk with Bob Lilly, and that's exactly what he said, Mike. He said, look, they've gotten the better of us when it matters in the playoffs, but we've also had a lot of success in the regular season here at Lynn Family Stadium. But make no mistake about it, this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side is struggling at this point in time. 2 games, 2 losses, 0 goals scored. How do they flip that script here today?
Well, they used to look to Albert Dequa, MVP of the league last year, Golden Boot winner, but he's in Rhode Island. So instead of goals like that, they'll need it from somebody else. The Riverhounds got a measure of revenge last July. And in the regular season, they've been arguably the biggest thorn in Louisville's paw. Now think about this Louisville side as we take a look at today's player profile presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. Wilson Harris, youngest in league history to 50 goals.
Just a true goal scorer, the ability to finish with his right foot, his left foot, his head. But one thing about Danny Cruz, he loves just the numbers inside that 18-yard box. What does the service look like into Wilson Harris?
We talk about young guys. Let's talk about a more aged veteran and service, too.
And you talk about a player that can do it all, score goals, get assists. He's been a constant professional in terms of consistency. You know what you're going to get from Canardo Forbes, but the question is for Bob Lilly is how quickly can he get in a rhythm here today?
So a little bit of Hounds history to be had for King Kenny. Canardo Forbes' 195th appearance. He's slated to start this afternoon. Fans filing in at Lynn Family Stadium. Should be a great atmosphere for one of the great rivalries of the USL Championship. Lineups and kickoff are imminent. What a game we've got in store. It's coming up next.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. Woo! Whoa.
Oh, hey.
What are we, Steve?
Winners.
I love you.
Get a new 24 RAV4 or electrified RAV4 hybrid with 4.75 APR financing, or lease a gas-powered RAV4 for $299 a month with 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie, where this month, during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, plus we have some amazing deals with incredible inventory. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie. Huffman has it.
When the Thompsons first bought their house, all they saw was their dream home. They didn't yet know that with a home equity line of credit from Commonwealth Credit Union, it would be their keys to epic cannonballs and the chance to see the world. As years went by, it allowed them to empower the next generation and make happily ever after come true. Which begs the question, what could your home be doing for you? Let's find out together. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
The solar eclipse is coming Monday, April 8th. And to view it safely, you'll need WDRB Eclipse glasses. Now, at all Scooters coffee locations.
Hello, welcome to Scooters. What can we get started for you?
Get 1 free pair with a purchase of a specialty drink or Scoot Energy. Plus, visit Scooters Coffee on Tuesday and receive not 1, but 5 free glasses while supplies last.
Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie, where this month, during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, plus we have some amazing deals with incredible inventory. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie. Huffman has it.
Let's meet the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. Louisville City have made no changes from a team that got a 1-0 win away to El Paso last week, Ricky.
And you look at Morris and Wilson, they're going to provide the width, but look at their movements on both sides of the ball. Serrano's going to play as a withdraw number 10. Adrian Perez, left-footed by trait, but he's always going to come into the interior, and we highlighted him in the open. Wilson Harris, the ability to make his living in around that 18-yard box. You need to get him on the ball early and often, and Lucy's going to have a very good day here at home.
Conversely, for Pittsburgh, they also make no changes, but this is a team that, as you mentioned in the open, a little frustrated by the results.
And Bob Lilly said one thing we need to do. We need to get a lot of players behind the ball, so how compact can they be in their defensive structure? But you also want to try to catch this Louisville City side in transition moments. So that's going to come down to DN and Kizit. Look for them to stretch and challenge the shape of Louisville City here at home.
All right, so this Louisville side with Ordonez and Tosh and Adams will have their chance. A 3-back yet again today for Danny Cruz's men. There's Sean Tosh. Remarkable goal scorer at the spot, as we all know, but he's now the linchpin of that back line alongside Ordonez. In midfield, Taylor Davila gets all the focus. Jansen Wilson, the 5'11", Louisvillian native, a trialist who's found his way into the lineup in his first 2 professional appearances. Pity the referee who has to deal with this matchup today. This is playoff intensity in March.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Here we go, yet again. Riverhounds and Louisville City underway in Kentucky. Year after year, they seem to play the biggest games of the season against one another, and we get the luxury of getting this early staging post for both sides. Elton Garcia will oversee the match. If there's someone who doesn't care for your pity and will just come do a good job, Elton's your man. Davila. Pittsburgh in the gold today. This will come all the way back to Eric Dick. No more Jamali Waite. Certainly for Louisville, a change in goalkeeper over this offseason as well. Good ball through. Wilson crossing, and Dick has it. And Pittsburgh dodges a very early bullet this afternoon.
How clean can you be playing out of the back? If you're the Riverhounds, that's going to be the key, because you know Louisville City is going to press high. Really like this run from Wilson. Head up the whole time, just tries to power this ball across. Good goalkeeping from Eric Dick, positioning to perfection.
Good work from Adams. Where's the armband again? You know, you and I spoke with Danny Cruz in the lead up to this game, and so much of this Louisville team has been built on a culture year after year and so many familiar faces. It's weird not seeing Paolo Del Piccolo out there. Brian Ownby out with a long-term leg injury at this stage. Danny Cruz has had to go recruit guys that will fit that mold and keep that continuity, even if it's not the same guys wearing the same shirt. And that means Kyle Adams wearing the armband is really significant, given he was only acquired midway through last year.
And it was interesting because Danny Cruz mentioned that on our phone call. Said, look, we had to go out and just get the right people that wanted to play in our culture, because everyone knows Louisville City is a destination club in the USL Championship. All of these players want to come.
That ball's destination for Morris was a bit half-hearted. Ball wound across. It's Wilson again. Wilson got upended. Kizza came in, the center forward, to make the play, and Louisville is taking it right back through Davila. Aims centrally, clearance is poor. Perez tried to get there. Winder providing pressure, and Mertz, the perfect metronome, still trouble. Davila picks it up, rolls over. Perez, that's headed to the stands, and Louisville have had all of this game, and Pittsburgh looks completely out of sorts.
3 minutes in, you just see the high pressure for Louisville City causing all sorts of problems for the Riverhounds. It all comes down to decision making. Yes, you want to play out of the back, but there's nothing wrong with just hitting the ball long and gaining some real estate higher up the field.
Ray Serrano started just 10 games last year. He'll play short on the 5-5 corner. Perez, Serrano, and it must have looked better on the training ground. This is a Pittsburgh team that Bob Lilly admitted is going to have to look a little different than it did in the past. A lot of talk about losing Albert Dikwa, but they lost players on every single line, and they're going to have to relearn and adapt the way they seemingly do every year, but it doesn't mean it happens in March.
really good test for Bob Lilly and company, because he mentioned from week 1 to week 2, we saw that growth in terms of the performance, but just didn't have the ability to find the back of the net. Obviously, you play against a very good Orange County side, but it's a completely different animal. Now you come to Lynn Family Stadium against this Lou City side. We got a very good result at El Paso, so you know they're going to be full of confidence. And 5 minutes in, been all one-way traffic here for the home side.
And traffic continues. Davila settles. We'll go through Ordonez. Ball thrust away from Morris. And still Pittsburgh can't run away.
Just see how deep the Riverhounds are sitting already. 11 players deep into their defensive half. So if you lose City, the ball needs to move extremely quick. Wilson and Morris need to provide the width, as they've done, just to stretch apart this Riverhounds back line.
Perez had his pocket picked. Forbes pitchforked it upfield. Second effort, no better. Davila. Serrano. Serrano went for goal. Dick got a piece. Harris off the outside of the netting. Swarming Louisville City inside 6 minutes.
The counter press, been the best friend for the home side here. Serrano is a withdrawn number 10. It's that real estate right in front of that back line. And Wilson Harris, we highlighted him in the open. So opportunistic, a fox in the box, but Eric Dix does just enough to throw off the striker.
Forbes puts it down and launches back into play. Rivera sent the cross. You get something now, it is entirely against the run of play. Pittsburgh finally an extended run in the attacking end. Biasi. Osamanu. That'll run. Adams takes it to the line. You know, we talk so much about history for Louisville. It's their 10th anniversary season for Pittsburgh. Talking about year 25. King Kenny, Canardo Forbes. To be the all-time appearance leader for any club in this league is an accomplishment. To do it for Pittsburgh, that's legendary.
And just the way he's done it as well, Mike, because we talk about players that come to mind when you talk about the USL Championship. Constant professional, both sides of the ball. 3 out of the last 5 years, double digits in terms of assists. So you know he's going to be a massive part in terms of on-the-field production, but also his leadership off the field for this Riverhound side.
7th year with the club, 2nd team All-League last year, and he's now been named to the All-League team 7 times, going back to his time in Rochester. Quick throw in. Perez crossing. It's wide. Wilson Harris marauding into the penalty area. And when will they lift the lid on that Pittsburgh goal?
Just watch the movement from Harris as he comes in from a deep lying position. Adrian Perez, terrific ball across, because you watch the back line for the Riverhounds, they're retreating. So where's the space? Right on top of that 6. Just a little bit too heavy. Wilson Harris unable to get his feet underneath him. And once again, asking all sorts of questions of the visitors here.
Here's another question as Danny Griffin goes angling backwards, puts it out to touch. Is this just careless possession from Pittsburgh, or is there a deeper problem here?
Decision making, that's lacking massively. It's so many times they're trying to play a ball into a central location. I mentioned it earlier, just hit the ball high, gain some real estate higher up the field. Because Danny Cruz, they want to counter press, they want to force turnovers higher up the field. The Riverhounds just haven't been good enough.
Morris, high arcing ball. Adams plays back, and Loss drives it away. Commonwealth Credit Union. You can learn more about how we can help meet your financial goals at WeSeeYouDifferently.com. You and I were remarking about it pregame. The Louisville sponsorship, largely unchanged over the years. Apparently these reads are really hitting home. Ball ahead to Harris. Keeper is way out. Harris looks up, knocked down by Dick. Eric Dick got caught in absolute no man's land.
Just a little bit too easy for Lou City just to break through the back line of the Riverhounds. But give credit to Wilson Harris. He's been so active with his runs from inside out, playing off the shoulder of the 3 center backs.
I've got a feeling Wilson Harris, as Cameron Lancaster goes to League One side Lexington over the offseason, scored 2 goals in the Open Cup, by the way. A loss to Vermont, sold out their venue on Tuesday night as Griffin tracks this down. But Harris might be in for 15, 20 goal season. He's going to get the run. He'll have his chance. Pushed ahead to Davila. Notably tonight for Louisville, Carlos Mogel off suspension, but not in the 18. Also, Tola showing me, the former Riverhound, picked up a knock in training this week. Not in the roster today. So there is no revenge game to be had there. The only revenge game of note in this particular performance would be Arturo Ordonez, but I don't know what you're getting revenge for when you were named Defensive Player of the Year. I think everyone left on good terms. Ordonez, 33 starts, 5 goals, Championship Player of the Year, switching sides to Louisville this year. Kizza still rubbing the back of his head after that meeting. Take a look back at this.
But Danny Griffin just goes down far too early. That's when, as a center back, you want to say like for like with Wilson Harris. And like you said, Mike, Eric Dick is off his line extremely early as well. Just gets lucky to finish it straight at him. Just looking for a little bit more balance if you're Bob Lilly in your defensive structure.
How often do you say that? That's a poor giveaway from Dick. And Griffin able to ole it ahead.
Just moments ago, you just saw it was a 3v3. When you're out of possession, you always want to have a +1 within your back line. So you're looking at Walty, Mertz, or Forbes just to drop down and create an overload. Just give a support system, a passing lane. Just no options to play out of this pressure for the Riverhounds so early on.
I'll bounce off of Ordonez, who shows some pretty good skill. Ordonez beneath it again, got it away. Spanish player, 3 years at Pitt, and then 2 years for Pittsburgh. So 5 years in the Steel City between the collegiate and the professional game. This scoots out of play. I've had so many people describe playing for Bob Lilly as the world's best apprenticeship. And it will certainly get you paid somewhere else if you don't get paid there.
And Danny Cruz said he was the #1 target that they wanted in the offseason. That he was a player that embodied what it meant to be a Lou City player on the field, off the field, just a constant professional. Danny could not have spoken highly enough of Ordonez.
And we were chatting with him, and sometimes you like to go the road less traveled, or where was sort of your overarching focus? And he goes, it's tough to answer because we got it done pretty quick. Like, we came in with a #1 target, and then we got it, and then we had to find a new #1 target.
And through 2 games, he's been massive for Lou City. Was extremely good at El Paso, very aggressive, stepping off the line, and already here, 14 minutes in, you saw the ability just to read the game, stepping with his striker, comfortable on the ball, the reason why he's the reigning Defender of the Year.
The reason why Pittsburgh won the Shield last year, 67 points. Forward from Wilson. Finds Biasi. There's an appeal that Biasi got that last, and that's a correct assertion. Corner Louisville City. Lance McGarvey told you, but I'll remind you, this Lou City corner is presented by Wi-Fi. Respect your public address announcers, Ricky. Davila. Decent looking ball. Hammered by Serrano. Well, that nearly beat the drums.
And he's a very interesting player for Lou City, Ray Serrano. We've seen him play a plethora of different positions, whether it's the wide areas, whether it's deep in the midfielder, whether it's on the front line. His relationship with Davila and Winder has been very spot on so far here.
Not approaching the touchline. Pittsburgh will take control. Hey fans, when Lou City wins, you win. This season, Lou City is partnered with Wendy's. Give you a free small Frosty if the boys in purple win. No purchase necessary. Offer is valid the following day after a win. Head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's location to redeem. Chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, vanilla. You're a chocolate guy?
I'll take my sock in any flavor, but actually I prefer the vanilla too.
There you go.
Kidding? Screaming through midfield. Pittsburgh take control. There's Forbes. 10 assists last year in 34 games for the former Jamaican international. You and I were asking where the goals would come from with Pittsburgh. I said, well, Deanne should provide some of that. I don't think he's touched the ball yet.
Just tells you how difficult of an early game this has been. Watch out here.
Serrano lines it up, leans it toward Harris, and that forced out of play by Walty, the 24-year-old first-year championship player from Florida.
And once again, it's just sloppy from the Riverhounds, giving the ball over extremely cheaply while trying to play out of the back.
Wi-Fi corner kick for Ray Serrano. Serrano curling in, Dick punches it away. Davila beneath it, pressured by Forbes. Serrano 1v1 lines up at 2. And did swing across through. Tosh header back, header snapped wide. Oh, it was the moment. And it was Ordonez, the center back, the former Pittsburgh star, almost rainbowed that home.
Really good decision from Sean Tosh just to head this back across where it came from. The lack of marking, the lack of rotation from the Riverhounds is going to leave Bob Billy extremely frustrated. Everyone gets caught ball watching, and Ordonez unable to get it on target. But yet again, Lou City putting a lot of pressure on the visitors here.
As far as defenders go, Ordonez scores a lot. He had 5 last year. Did you ever play against a former club and score against them? How do you celebrate? Never came up?
Never came up.
You were not quite a one club man, but you weren't a many club man.
That's true. But no, never came up. That's an interesting question. If it happens, we'll see, I guess.
So often in this game, you'll see, depending on how you left,
yeah,
a different.
I think that's a massive part of it.
No doubt. Winder is sprayed through. Head on a swivel, works on Griffin, got the shot in, and Dick settles. And this Louisville tidal wave continues to crash into the Pittsburgh defense.
Has a very good understanding of where to be and when to be Elijah Winder. But just watch the numbers from Lou City advancing into the 18-yard box. Right idea. To be fair, 19 minutes in, Eric Dick has answered every single question asked of him.
You have to think Danny Cruz is starting to feel a little bit ill watching this, because you get 5-6 chances on Pittsburgh. That's usually a game's worth. You got it in 19 minutes. You don't have anything to show yet, even though you're still fully in command of the momentum.
how clinical can you be? Another bad giveaway once again.
Wilson was able to siphon it off. Tosh. Well, now Tosh is giving it away. That's short-lived, however. Davila comes back.
But it's just decisions like that, Mike. As Biasi picks up his head, there's an upload in the middle. Just play wide, circulate the ball. It's exactly what Bob Lilly's telling his boys. Get our outside backs involved, whether it is Junior Atsu or Rivera. Too many times you're trying to play the ball into a congested area in the center of the park.
Not the best lip reader, but I think Bob Lilly disapproves. Felt that foul was a long time coming. You know, the 2022 playoff game, that really felt like Pittsburgh was not only going to end Louisville's run of conference finals, which is remarkable in its own right, 9 in 9 years, but 2 goals up against this rival that just always seems to be the one that knocks you out. The Eastern Conference final, or rather semifinal in Pittsburgh, that Louisville walked off in 2021. Then they ended up defeating Indy 11 on the road. What a wild sort of playoff run that was. Attacking third, something's on here for Pittsburgh. Ball whipped in front, and Loss able to command the moment for Louisville City. Be up 2 goals on this mountain of a team, and then watch it dissipate in 3 minutes, and there are not a slim number of people who think that that was a dodgy penalty back then. Scouse's house packed to the rafters. They may need an addition behind the goal. Ball winds back. This portion of the match is brought to you by Toyota and the Kentuckiana Toyota dealers. Off the head of Perez.
Just seem a bit confused, Junior Atsu, at the moment. Not sure where to press, where to provide the coverage. And that's something that Danny Cruz mentioned to us on our phone call. Some of the keys were going to be, look, we have to change the point of attack. We have to get the wide areas and create overloads. Wilson and Jake Morris have been very active, whether they're on the ball or not, just causing problems, causing confusion with this Pittsburgh defensive structure.
Adams. Morris still there. It's a bit short, recovered by Perez. That's out of play. By the way, that's a new Perez. We'll touch on that in a moment.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Watch the movement in the center of the park. Ray Serrano, he takes off, and that confuses Rivera. He drops off with him. Jake Morris, essentially, it's just an overload, causing all sorts of problems. There's no rotation whatsoever from the Riverhounds. Yes, it doesn't result in a shot on target. That puts a lot of pressure on Eric Dick, but those are the movements that if you're Danny Cruz, the way you can break down this Riverhounds back line.
So avid Louisville watchers know Manny Perez, and he was transferred over the offseason to a Danish club, transfer fee and all. That's Adrian Perez, who you might remember from some of those great battles with San Diego Loyal. No relation, but it just sort of feels like we went from one Perez in a wide area to another, and sort of felt like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast change.
And he's a special player.
Well, there he is, playing a nice ball, diagonal that gets over Serrano.
10 goals, 3 assists over 33 in all competitions for San Diego Loyal, but just the ability to create not only for himself, but for players around him. Can beat you 1v1, can combine. It was a big pickup for Danny Cruz, who's been extremely pleased with Adrian Perez.
He initially arrived on trial with LAFC, and he said, I thought I was done. Ended up at the Ontario Fury of the Major Arena Soccer League for a time. Ended up at DC United, so 43 games between Los Angeles and DC before 31 games just last year, and Tied his career high with that 10 goals for San Diego last year. Etu. Pittsburgh's planning a pretty substantive change here. It's going to likely be a substantive tactical change. Harris. He'll drive in. Wilson Harris. That got deflected. That hits the line. That did get out. Langston Blackstock has gotten up. He's moving around for Pittsburgh. This is far earlier than you usually see a sub coming to the bench. Ball lined in over the top. That gets out over Osamanu.
Really good move from Wilson Harris. Just takes a tad bit too long. That's when you want to strike it right here. As he takes that extra second, allows Walty to come over and close that window down. But a player that's extremely confident at the moment, not only with the ball, but without the ball. Defensive pressure, putting the back five, of the Riverhounds under a lot of pressure just with this counter press. He's been very active in this match so far.
There's a foul. You see the watermark on your screen. It's true. Hey, fans, welcome. The 2024 USL kickoff. It's presented by Terminix. Throughout the month of March, USL kicking off across the country, League One and Championship. Join us for all the action on ESPN and CBS Sports platforms. On WBKI, on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. This game airing today as well. Pinballing around, final away from Deanne, and that's come with a pretty tough price paid. And it looks like there's really something here. So Pittsburgh is making a change that we intimated was coming. So Blackstock comes in, Rivera comes off. Totally different players. That's going to be another player higher up the field for Bob Lilly's Hounds. The substitution is brought to you by Fortna.
Just never really got into this game. Rivera. Blackstock's just going to give an outlet for Bob Lilly's side, who are in dire need of one. The ability to stretch opposing back lines, to be direct with his movement. Not easy for a player to come in cold 27 minutes into a match that you did not think you were going to start. So how quickly can he get in a rhythm?
At the end, getting a talking to. There's no whistle on that clearance, but Jake Morris certainly got the worst of it. So Bob Lilly having a chat with that too. You know, these teams saw each other in preseason. Geographically, this is a pretty good setup to get a good game against a great opponent within the league before you start, even though they knew they'd see each other less than a month later come March 23rd. Point being, Danny Cruz said, well, we saw what they did against us. They did the exact same thing the first two games. But what we do know is no matter how they start, it's never going to be how they finish with Pittsburgh. They're shapeshifters. And whatever shape that is, just confused Louisville a bit, bounced right to Robbie Mertz.
And that's something that he's learned with going against Bob Lilly, just the ability to adapt to different moments of different matches. And you can never know what he has up his sleeve. But it's also going to be a good test for Lou City. Different look. You don't really know what's coming towards your way, so how do you adapt on a fly? And that's all about being a part of a player, understanding different circumstances, finding solutions in real time.
By the way, the NCAA tournament has given us some highs and lows. Oakland, for instance, has seen the city or zip code around Louisville, perhaps best said, crash their website because of all the online orders made, which is clearly set to go fill up with Oakland Golden Grizzly gear. Pittsburgh's got a heck of a story too. More on that in a second as Winder turns it over. If you're familiar with Robbie Dambrot in this league, he's back at Loudoun now. He had a brief cup of coffee in Pittsburgh. His dad, Keith, is the coach at Duquesne. His wife, Donna, has been dealing with cancer this year. And Keith, one of the longest-serving coaches in Division I, was in the middle of the pack of the Atlantic 10 until they made an 8-game winning run all the way to the A10 title into the tournaments. At that point, he announced it would be his final tournament as head coach, that he'd retire at the end of the season. Wishing Keith all the best as Duquesne won their opening round game in the NCAA tournament. What a phenomenal human being. Ryan Martin will tell you up and down all the help that he's given as a coach, the Loudoun United manager, but also what a great kid Robbie is. And perhaps my favorite part about Keith is they beat St. Bonaventure in the Atlantic 10 tournament before the final. He gets to the press conference and all he's doing is checking to see if Robbie won his game at Loudoun. Now that's a soccer dad.
Fantastic story. USL is massive, by the way.
Absolutely massive. Most massive. The massivest on a play for a throw. We've got our own chaos in this league. We don't need brackets.
Just seemed a little bit more balanced as time has gone on in the Riverhounds. Understand the systems, where to press, how to press, and who to press. And like you mentioned, Mike, I do think if you're Danny Cruz, all the chances that you had, just needed one to find the back of the net.
Is this the moment? Perez turned away. Jansen Wilson overcooked it with Serrano arriving at the back post. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh starting to find their land legs a little bit. We do welcome the fans watching this game on WBKI. It's the official broadcast home for Louisville City FC. For yet another year, fantastic broadcast partnership that was among the first in the league. In a league now where most every team has picked up on that success and found a wonderful in-market partner. We'll see games here all season long, home and away, except for those airing on national TV, including the April 6th Barn Burner on CBS, the Louisville-Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest. Ordonez is down. He collided with DN. You want to know the last thing that I want to hear after a collision in the air? Bagpipes. And yet that's precisely what's going on behind the goal at the moment. Danny Cruz will have a conversation with the team. Deanne appears fine. It's an apparent more of a jaw issue for Ordonez. That's where they're looking. To take a bump to the perfectly manicured facial hair. Something even Ricky could learn from.
You need to talk to him after the game, get some of those notes. Look at that jawline.
Nice moment between the two. You know, Ordonez is going to shake hands with a lot of former teammates. Deanne, not a former teammate. Deanne signed just this year by Pittsburgh after time at Ryder.
Bit of an awkward coming together in the follow-through. Not a lot of contact, but definitely sensitive. The jaw area, but both seem good to go. I do think if you're Bob Lilly and Danny Cruz, you have to be very pleased with that. Whether it is the end, whether it is Kizza, you need to provide just a little bit of an outlet in terms of the hold-up play, the positioning. You don't want to get caught on the weak side. You always want to be ball side as a number 9, as there's the forwards for your side. Invite some pressure and let the players underneath you, whether it is Robbie Mertz, Walty, Bernardo Forbes, provide the support to play off of.
Ordonez.
And that's something we didn't see earlier in the first half, just the pressure in numbers. You force a turnover now.
Purely from a numerical perspective, right? Putting in Blackstock instantly provides that additional impetus, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it gives you also balance, right? It gives you the spatial awareness to understand, okay, if he moves here, I can move here, all over the field. And that's a system that Bob Lilly has implemented since coming over for the Riverhounds. This is how I want to press. This is the way I want to press in this formation. And just the rotation wasn't happening earlier in the first half, whether it was a 2-stepping high. Biasi was slow to rotate over. Danny Griffin was getting caught out of position as well. But it's been a little bit better the last couple minutes.
There was an attack down the left-hand side at about 15 to 20 minutes where you said Rivera looked confused by that Louisville rotation or attack, as Perez finding Davila. That's a good coming together by the Riverhounds to take it back, but again, the outlet just not there. Back out to Wilson. And then about 5 minutes later, off comes Rivera. So clearly something in the tactical game plan didn't match up with what ultimately occurred on the field.
Another thing for the Riverhounds is when you force a turnover, when you win the ball in your defensive shape, your first pass needs to be forward. How do you break a line? Too many times you're trying to play negative or horizontal, and that gives Lou City the ability to counter press and win the ball back in a more advantageous position.
Elton Garcia getting an earful of Taylor Davila. Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com. Get all that for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. That's quite a shoulder-to-shoulder bump from Deanne. There's an opening at the top of the area. Deanne was looking the wrong way. Atu bangs it off of Tosh. Biasi.
It's the first time we've seen the Riverhounds just elect to press high. Just mentioned that when you win that ball, your first look needs to be forward. Robbie Mertz was in acres of space at that far post. Deanne doesn't see him, and now gives Lou City the ability just to get numbers behind the ball.
Injured player for Pittsburgh. That's a little concerning. 38 minutes in, and he's taken off some of that athletic tape around his ankle. Here's a reminder of why today's so substantial for Forbes. Today is 195th appearance, and he becomes the all-time, all competitions leader for the Riverhounds in their 25th year. One of a kind. And hopefully it's not cut short. He would be set to break it at home against Tampa Bay. That is 2 Saturdays from now, the 6th of April. Able to jog this off. You know, he took his time with Syracuse in the Major Arena Soccer League. He actually said you have to think so much quicker indoors than outdoors because the field is so compact. The ball is able to ricochet off the walls. I mean, totally different universe. It made him a much better player by the time he got back outside.
I think also the technical ability. How good can you be in tight spaces?
For
Great
sure.
call.
Ball down the right-hand side, laid off, shot saved away from the line, DN. Follow, and now Perez gets it away. Pittsburgh's first outstanding chance of the game. DN on the doorstep is denied. And Las and Tosh share a moment at the conclusion.
As Danny Griffin is a midfielder by trade, it has the ability to break lines, but watch the movement from DN. The whole back line for Louisville City, they're retreating towards that 6-yard box. As he peels off, he understands if I get this ball, I have to hit it first time. Hits it quite well, to be fair, but give credit. Do you think that was Sean Tosh?
Yeah.
I think it's the second goalkeeper. Damien Loss is beat.
Well put. Second goalkeeper. Put that on his resume.
But those are the balls that if you're Danny Griffin, if you can break lines with your passing, you can find Robbie Mertz in those half pockets, and we know how talented Robbie Mertz is in those pockets of space between lines, the body position, the way that he receives the balls facing forward, and the ongoing runs. And that's something that Bob Lilly mentioned on our phone call. We want runs from a weak-sided outlet, and also the wingbacks need to break lines with their movements.
So Mertz was able to tee that ball into the width, but of course, who was there on the other end of it? But the substitution 15 minutes ago, Langston Blackstock.
And that's something they didn't have with Rivera. They didn't have that outlet, the ability to just stretch the opposition, the willingness to be vertical in their movements.
Davila, brought down by Jake Morris. Might be familiar with his cousin. That's Aiden, national team player, features for the Crew. Jake, 26 games for Columbus the last couple of seasons, finished last year at Loudoun, and finishes this instance on the ground.
But once again, the inability to connect that first pass for Pittsburgh has to be frustrating. When Sumano picks up his head, there's just no one. The counter press for Louisville City has been very, very good.
I cannot remember Pittsburgh ever being this flummoxed on that first pass.
It's interesting. I do think you drop Danny Griffin to the center back position. That gives you a big hole to fill. And Walty just hasn't seemed, in terms of his positioning, to find those little angles, the little half passes that you can go out the other way. He's been more of a defensive-minded center midfielder. But Danny Griffin showed you the ability to play on both sides of the ball moments ago with that splitting pass into Robbie Mertz.
This is not the only action of the day around the championship, as this will inch all the way to the touchline. Ricky and I know it. We'll be here all day long. Harris, head on a swivel. Griffin in an unfamiliar position, backtracking, and he did get a foot in. Not defending, we know he can do that, but from the center back role, he's the Swiss Army knife. Not sure this is his favored position, but one he'll take nevertheless.
And it's better defending this time. Earlier in the first half, we saw him go down extremely early, and Wilson Harris just goes around him. Now he stays his feet, reads the body position, reads the body language, and then steps in at the right time. Textbook defending there from Danny Griffin.
It's high praise. Love to see it. Former second-round pick of the Crew. Of course, that was in 2020 when it was really difficult for anybody to make an MLS roster as a draftee. That was fourth year in Pittsburgh. There's Dick as we approach halftime. Seasoned pro, and his best soccer still in front of him, Bob Lilly said. He's played just 11 games in the last 5 years. Columbus, Minnesota, Kansas City. Ball lobbed over. Osamanu holding off Serrano.
Once again, it's 1v1 all over the field for the Riverhounds. No outlet whatsoever. The three center backs are getting man-marked by Ray Serrano, Wilson Harris, and Adrian Perez. That's when you need Walty to drop down, provide a little bit of support or an angle. And that just is not happening so far for the Riverhounds here in the first half.
This is a guy that they tried to get out of Pitt. He was a walk-on there, went to a couple College Cup semis, then went next pro and ultimately arrived back in Pittsburgh. But the way the Panthers play, pretty ideal turnaround to jump into the Riverhounds group. For any player, just their second game at this second division level, that's easier said than done. It's a free kick won by Serrano off of Griffin, and a free kick for Louisville City. It's hard to say you really won anything when you get hit like that. This Lou City free kick is presented by Fifth Third Bank. Set piece comes from Morris. That is maintained. Perez didn't get a clean jump on it. 5 added minutes. Davila curling in. Does find Dick. Winder was able to redirect, and stoppage time is brought to you by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Neither of these teams fly into the locker room with a goal. Pittsburgh, their best chance about 5 minutes ago. Louisville, the first 25 minutes were inundating Pittsburgh, but got nothing from it. Whistle's gone here. And this time it's a knock to the face of Jansen Wilson. Now notably, he came off at halftime last week. Danny Cruz was very quick to mention there were 4 guys on yellows on the road on a tight field in El Paso. He was fine. But first game, let's make sure a second yellow isn't imminent. It's just a man management move.
And I do think he's responded extremely well here. 46 minutes in, very active on this near side. And if you're Jake Morris on this set piece, you're aiming for right on top of that 6-yard box to cause chaos between the center backs and Eric Dick.
Morris must have been the wind. Well, clearly they were looking to have Ordonez send that back the other way. That's your target, along with Tosh. Adams isn't exactly mini-sized either.
Really big center back, but what's most important for the 3 center backs for Lou City, their ability to play on the ball. Ability to break lines with their passing, kickstart attacking phases of the game. I do think Danny Cruz is spoiled with the riches at the center back position.
Adams, the wind providing the perfect fanfare for that tremendous head of lettuce. Ordonez pinging. Serrano chasing, will push at the back. Blackstock halfway through stoppage. You think Pittsburgh successfully stemmed the tide, substitution, and maybe just a little more poise on the ball?
100%. I do think if you're Bob Lilly, we talked about making in-game changes and finding solutions, not only on the ball, but also tactically. Blackstock comes in, he provides that sense of security, the sense of understanding and responsibility, and they've been a lot better in the second part of this first half. On the ball, off the ball, making life difficult for Lou City. We haven't really seen Lou City really test Eric Dick in the second part of this first half. On the other side of that, if you're Danny Cruz, you've done everything right, getting yourself into the final third, but the only thing that has been lacking is whether it's a combination play or putting the ball in the back of the net.
Ball wound across. Spinning clearance opens things up for Pittsburgh here. A reminder that a new era of USL kicks off in April. Join us on Saturday, April the 6th on CBS. Louisville City take on Indy 11. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time at Lynn Family Stadium. It's the first ever national broadcast network debut for the USL on CBS Sports. I don't want to out the locale, but Devin and I have a place now in Louisville. We're excited to get there on the 5th, and best cornbread I have ever eaten in my life. I'll tell you off air, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want the paparazzi there to watch me navigate an entire.
We need to find a way to get that into the broadcast. You eating cornbread.
Ball through. Oh, it's Harris! Wilson Harris! His 51st championship goal! And finally, Louisville lifts the lid! Pittsburgh had held off Louisville for 49 minutes and 40 seconds, but 20 seconds too few.
Once again, it's the inability to play out of the back. Yes, it's a lucky bounce for Wilson Harris, but as a striker, you want to be opportunistic. You want to get yourself in and around that 18-yard box. But watch the body position. Little peek over his right shoulder to get his feet set. Calmly opens up his hips. There's nothing that Eric Dick can do, and Wilson Harris, well-deserved goal here for Lou City as they walk into halftime, 1-0 up.
Wilson Harris does it again. And he might be on some kind of scoring tear this year. Halftime arrives. The goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. The smile of the man who puts Louisville ahead, and the shaking head of Eric Dick, who cannot quite believe it. They had held off Louisville's incursions time and time again, and finally they break.
It was a matter of time, not if, but when Lou City was going to find the back of the net. Wilson Harris, he was extremely good and extremely active on both sides of the ball. Off the ball, being that first line of pressure, and very clinical in the way that he takes his goals. The body position, the body control to get his feet right and calmly slot it in.
So Louisville City leads Pittsburgh 1-0 at the intermission. Harris had his chances, and it seemed like Dick had his number. But finally, Louisville break through. 1-0 at the half. A look around the league, and our first half highlights are coming up next.
Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Mazda on the Dixie, where this month we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, a huge selection, and some amazing deals. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Mazda on the Dixie. Huffman has it. Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie, where this month, during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, plus we have some amazing deals with incredible inventory. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie. Huffman has it.
When the Thompsons first bought their house, all they saw was their dream home. They didn't yet know that with a home equity line of credit from Commonwealth Credit Union, it would be their keys to epic cannonballs and the chance to see the world. As years went by, it allowed them to empower the next generation and make happily ever after come true. Which begs the question, what could your home be doing for you? Let's find out together. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie, where this month, during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, plus we have some amazing deals with incredible inventory. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Subaru on the Dixie. Huffman has it. Hi, Shane Huffman with Neil Huffman Mazda on the Dixie, where this month we have interest rates as low as 1.9% financing, a huge selection, and some amazing deals. This is all going on now at Neil Huffman Mazda on the Dixie. Huffman has it.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota. Imagine all the slopes you'll conquer.
Sick.
Imagine all the sights you'll see.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, how about you imagine dropping me off?
Get a stylish new 24 Highlander with 4.75 APR financing, or get up to $1,000 APR cash on Grand Highlander, plus 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Halftime at Lynn Family Stadium. Bat and eyelash for the unique lighting structure here. One of a kind. Louisville 1, Pittsburgh 0 at the break. Joined by Ricky. Mike, let's keep in mind what this Pittsburgh team is trying to swim through this year. It's going to be a little bit different for them. Take a look. Go line by line. So Jamaldi Waite goes south to El Paso. In the back, Ordonez and Farrell, Dos Santos. You go to midfield, it's Ibarra. You get to the front line, your top two striker options. Showing me unavailable today for Louisville. But Albert Dequa, too. Ricky, this was always going to look different. Bob Lilly acknowledged that when you guys spoke this week.
And he said our identity is going to be different. Maybe we could have got away last season not having a lot of the ball, but catching teams out in transition moments because we knew Dequa, we knew Shaw, and we had the ability to find the back of the net. We don't have those guys this year. We don't have an out and out, let's say, number 9 MVP, Golden Boot race player. So how are we going to break teams down? Robbie Mertz, Bernardo Forbes, Walsh need to be very good, Danny Griffin, and then all has to be by committee. And that's something that the Riverhounds need to figure out extremely quick.
All right, conversely, this Louisville side sees a pretty substantial member of their midfield leave. But he's going to be here not too far down the line. 2 weeks away from the USL on CBS. Coast to coast, Louisville and Indy 11. So all eyes on Dylan Maris, who featured for Indy. All eyes on Tyler Gibson making a homecoming, although this is his second stint in Indy.
It's going to be very interesting. I do think that game is going to be won and lost. Who's going to win the midfield battle, right? You talk about Dylan Maris, you talk about Tyler Gibson, but you talk about every other player for both of these clubs, the talent that's going to be in the middle of the park. Who's going to impose their identity on the opposition? I do think that's going to be the one who takes all 3 points home.
April 6th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Fill the fam. And if you can't, you can watch on CBS. The boys of spring, summer, Louisville ahead at the break, 1-0 over Pittsburgh. We've got highlights galore from that first half. Yes, we'll show you Louisville grabbing the lead over the Hounds in this epic Eastern Conference early season matchup. It's coming up after these messages and a word from your local station.
Go get it, Doug.
When termites show up, so do we. Terminix it.
You've given us a foundation to be proud of. We build on this now. This is it now, gents. This is us from now on.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Yeah, we running the game. We're coming in strong, and you will not forget it. We're here to take you on, and we can fight and we defend it. We never looking back, we focused on the road. We didn't come to play, and now we never let it go. Yeah, we want to take it higher.
Follow up in! Louisville level in the 70th. He puts it in. Indy 11 leads on the road.
Yeah, we want to take it higher.
Looks great.
When termites show up, so do we. Terminix it.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Imagine all the slopes you'll conquer.
Sick.
Imagine all the sights you'll see.
Wow. Whoa. Okay, how about you imagine dropping me off?
Imagine yourself in the legendary 4Runner with the best resale value in its class. Lease this new 24 4Runner now for $439 a month with 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Lynn Family Stadium on this gorgeous late March afternoon. Welcome to the madness. championship madness. No sleep till Brooklyn. Brooklyn FC coming to the championship. They were planning League One. They've made a quick U-turn on the Cross Island Expressway. 2025, they'll come join the championship's Eastern Conference. Bernardo Forbes, 265th total appearance. That's second all-time in the league. And he sets the co-joint leader in Riverhound history as well. Appearance 195. And how about Rafael Baca, huh? Game-winning goal against Phoenix last week. That's a great start for Monterey Bay.
And another big test for Monterey Bay as they host Rhode Island tomorrow. But Baca, he does everything for that side. The engine, the press, the possession. Massive player for Frank Yallop in Monterey Bay.
Now the team of the week around the championship sees Frank Yallop get all the credit. Coach of the week, that's a new one. We've had coach of the month for quite some time. So Baca named player of the week. But how about some of these names? A couple of guys from Loudoun United that are expected to take big steps. Jack Blake is scoring half a dozen goals in preseason. Forget, I'll keep going right through the campaign.
I do think we say it every single time. There needs to be an Eastern team of the week and a Western Conference team of the week.
Now, here's a look at some scores and schedule that start tomorrow. So Monterey Bay, Rhode Island, you'll see it on ESPN+. In Rhode Island, you'll see it on NESN, beginning of their new broadcast agreement there. The Golazo game in the early window will be Indy and Detroit.
It's an interesting one. Tampa Bay, they're hosting Rhode Island. That one, how does Conno Smith and company fare after going to Monterey Bay, going down to Florida? That one's going to be really interesting because Al Lang, not an easy place to play.
Rhode Island on the upcoming schedule for Pittsburgh as well. Something to keep in mind if you want to do a little early scouting. I have a feeling Bob Lilly will be keeping an eye on that for sure. Now, there's some scores to keep in mind from earlier today. Hartford did knock Birmingham down a peg, 1-0. Watch out, here comes Hartford. And then some big results from last weekend that caught our eye. Reigning champ going down, Eastern Conference winner settling for a draw against the Roots, too.
And what about Detroit City going into the switchback, and taking all 3 points back to Detroit, and then new look Las Vegas side still searching for their first win. They play tonight against El Paso.
By the way, it was Michi Galino who scored for Hartford.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. Eastern Conference, get ready. There's a new, just freakish assist man. He could win Golden Playmaker and the boot. All right, 1-0 Louisville. We may have a Golden Boot candidate already here in Louisville. We'll show you Wilson Harris's goal the second half on the other side.
At Typical Insurance, you're just another senior.
That is the third health insurance commercial with seniors at a farmer's market.
Right? Don't get me wrong, I love a fresh heirloom, but it's like those companies think we're all the same.
That's why I chose Humana. Before I signed up, I spoke to someone who actually listened to what I needed. She told me about benefits that were right for me, like vision and dental, all in my budget. I finally feel in control. What are you doing?
Taking control.
Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Yeah.
Sick.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Get a powerful new 24 Tundra and get up to $1,500 customer cash. Or choose APR financing as low as 2.25%. Or get a great low lease on Tundra.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
At Typical Insurance, you're just another senior.
That is the third health insurance commercial with seniors at a farmer's market.
Right? Don't get me wrong, I love a fresh heirloom, but it's like those companies think we're all the same.
That's why I chose Humana. Before I signed up, I spoke to someone who actually listened to what I needed. She told me about benefits that were right for me, like vision and dental, all in my budget. I finally feel in control. What are you doing?
Taking control.
Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Yeah.
Sick.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Get a powerful new 24 Tundra and get up to $1,500 customer cash. Or choose APR financing as low as 2.25%. Or get a great low lease on Tundra.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Let's take a look at our first half highlights, of which there are many, believe it or not. Scoreline wouldn't tell you that. That was, well, A. Wilson getting the ball in front.
the pressure from Lou City was causing all sorts of problems for the Riverhounds. Just the inability to play out of the back. But just watch the boys in purple. About 7 players within 25 yards of their attacking 18-yard box, but you have to give credit. Eric Dick was very good between the sticks for the Riverhounds.
He did just enough to keep this Pittsburgh team afloat when they were just getting totally inundated. Wilson Harris denied with Dick way off his line and Perez making a run.
And the game really changed for Bob Lilly when he went to his bench because it gave you an outlet on that far side. Really good movement once again from the weak-sided, asking questions, unbalancing. This is the best pattern of play that we've seen. But watch the movement from the end. He peels off, and then Sean Tosh playing the second goalkeeper for Damian Loss. Blackstock was massive when he came off the bench.
And Louisville creating into the final seconds of the opening half. Ball slips through somehow, some way. Wilson Harris is inevitable.
Cool, calm, and collected. The way that he gets his feet, the hips to face towards that far post and calmly slots it in. There's nothing that Eric Dick can do. And it was a well-deserved goal for Wilson Harris and Lou City.
So halftime stats, 12 shots to 1. And look, Pittsburgh could have easily led this game 1-0 with the one shot they got. Tosh to the rescue. Now Louisville has to try and make something good out of this, or Pittsburgh's going to come steal something.
I do think for Danny Cruz, the first 10 minutes coming out of halftime is going to be really important. How do you get that second goal? It's going to be the key. And for Bob Lilly, can you start the second half the way that you ended the first half? The wide areas, whether it was Blackstock and Etu, they were a lot better in terms of their pressing and their positioning at stretching this Lou City side. But you need to get Robbie Mertz on the ball a lot more in the second half. It was extremely quiet for Bob Lilly, and he's a big playmaker for the Riverhounds.
Well, this Louisville side that looks, frankly, so different than past years. This is finally the generational shift, and today their home opener at Lynn Family Stadium. Pittsburgh trying to spoil the occasion. They know something about doing that. When this stadium opened, it was to a Pittsburgh victory. Louisville got the first goal. Pittsburgh got the last 3 back in 2020. We'll see if this stands true to form of past regular season Pittsburgh success, or if Louisville can pick up their second win in as many games to start this campaign. No subs at the break, just the singular substitution in the first half. It saw Blackstock in and Rivera off. And on we go to the second half here in Kentucky, as Pittsburgh visits the Commonwealth for their 3rd game of the season. Couple of losses trying to avoid what would be a very rare feat. Their last 3-game losing streak was actually June of 2022, and this would be their 3rd straight this year, of course. It'd actually be 4 going back to the playoffs when they were shockingly eliminated in the opening round by the 8-seed Detroit in the conference quarterfinals after winning the Players' Shield for best record in the league. Dicing ball ahead. And there's Dick calmly. The end. This was all offside.
And I do expect, especially early in this second half for the Riverhounds, just to play a little bit more direct into Kiz and DN. Relieve some of the pressure that you know is going to come from Lou City. How good can those two striking pair be good at holding up the ball and being an outlet for Bob Lilly's side?
Toes square, there's Adams. Brian Ownby was supposed to be wearing the band. It's Adams who wears it in his absence. Ownby injured right before this season began. It looked like this could be a breakout for the Louisville veteran. The injury bug strikes again. This portion of the match brought to you by Toyota and the Kentuckiana Toyota dealers. Tosh walks into the line with Kizza in pursuit. Well, tips down. Maybe there's something here for Pittsburgh, although Winder responds. Forbes. Able to orchestrate. Kizza is available in the center of the area, but it never got that far. Ball bounces to Davila and go up through Serrano. He got harangued in midfield in our first card of the game. Thumbs up. Sometimes you know you're in the wrong. Robbie Mertz in this case.
Just watch the touch from Ray Serrano. Breaks the line of run from Robbie Mertz. He has to take him down. Tons of real estate to operate in from the number 7 in purple. Clear as day. As Robbie Mertz sees yellow early in this second half. It's going to be a really big test in terms of his positioning and discipline for the remainder of this match.
That yellow card presented by Bone Dry Roofing. Adams. Speared over Winder. Came toward Deanne, only to see Adams to the task. Walty kept it alive, only to see it handed to Davila. Davila the elder, I guess. Could see his younger brother Evan onto the field at some point. Make his home debut as Etu goes in. Talk about a guy who's been around the league. There's always a feeling he went under the radar in Charlotte. He had some injury issues in Tampa Bay, and you saw him spring up in Pittsburgh last year and went, well, that tracks. Perfect player for the Hounds. And he's involved in this twisting confrontation with Harris. Well, that was a whiff for the best from Mertz. Chipped ahead by Deanne, recovered by Louisville, grabbed by Serrano. Ball through for Harris. Works on Griffin, Harris crossing, ricochets around, headed away from the line. Ball picked back off by Tosh. He's got ideas. Tosh. It's going to fall and stay in play. Perez quaffing in a cross. Settled. And now the Riverhounds attempt to counter as Louisville race back into position.
Really good ball there from Blackstock. And it's better from the Riverhounds. On the ball, a little bit more confident, a little bit more structure in the way that they want to really blank this Lou City side. There's just so much talent for Lou City. Wilson Harris has been very active with his runs at creating his own space and just waiting for players underneath him to join him in the final third.
Walty. Dick. Back heel flick on. Find Dick nevertheless. Blackstock. Oh, Bob showing off a little bit of footwork.
Technique.
5-time coach of the year, but never gets enough credit as a player. He actually captained George Mason back in the day. Went on to a professional career. It's rolled outside. Etu. That was a really clever ball for Forbes and a vital intervention from Tosh.
As Danny Griffin is a center back and he elects to play higher up the field, that gives you the outlet, the overload, quickly break through lines. And that's something, if you're Bob Lilly, you need to see a little bit more of. Just watch the numbers that the Riverhounds have running downhill. Sean Tosh just does just enough to push it wide for a throw-in.
Ultimately a throw that Louisville siphoned off on the first pass. Over the line and recovered. Wilson. It's on here for Louisville. Pumping the brakes, Perez. Adrian Perez starting to find his way off his 10-goal season last year. Come all the way down to Damian Loss, who had a jaw-dropping statistical season as the next pro goalkeeper of the year last season, won the title with Austin FC 2. Whistle blows. This will be a free kick. Maybe a good chance to peer back as a yellow card given. It's brought to you by Bone Dry Roofing. Tosh starts accumulating cards.
The referee has shown a bone dry yellow card. Louisville City's number 4, Sean Tosh.
Really good movement from Wilson Harris. Just a little bit of a heavy touch there from Sean Tosh that gets him in trouble. Junioretsu quicker to the ball. Now on a yellow card. He's to be very good and stay compact with his back three.
Bone dry yellow first issued to a Louisville player. That's Tosh. There was one earlier in the half. Robbie Mertz. Louisville gets a nice stretch here at home. Be back here on Saturday to take on Birmingham. That'll probably be fuming. You and I were looking over the stats. We were calling this game. Didn't have a chance to watch Hartford, Birmingham. But suffice to say, if there were 45 shots in that game, we missed a doozy. Gosh.
Defending optional.
So that's Louisville's next opponent, the side that fell short in that one with their 18 shots, Birmingham. And then they'll see Indy 11, the broadcast network debut for USL on CBS on April the 6th. Pittsburgh's going to head back to Highmark for Tampa Bay and then go away to Rhode Island and away to Phoenix. One of their longest road trips of the year. Home opener, it is packed tonight. I saw a tweet from a Louisville fan saying that as far as chanting at goalkeepers go, this is one of the easiest gigs they've ever had. Ball deflects away and Tosh sends it out. Hey, if you can't watch the match, turn on SiriusXM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk. Includes USL All Access on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, you'll hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. It's all on SiriusXM FC 157 and the new SiriusXM app. All smashed away, comes down to Winder. You know, I had a former pro and collegiate goalkeeper say that the toughest fan base on her, she played in the Big East, was UConn. I don't know if that was your experience as a Blue Jay with Creighton, but I can't imagine that they were nice to you.
UConn wasn't in the Big East when I was at Creighton.
Ah, it's still in the American.
So they were in the American, but I would say Georgetown. I mean, when we would go, we would have some nice battles with Georgetown. Not a lot of fans, to be fair, but they were extremely close to the field, so you heard everything.
You've got as many fans as the Louisville and Pittsburgh have in the Paul Child stand or in Scouse's house or up in the wall on the right-hand side in the Purple family. I mean, you've all got to band together to really be heard.
Yeah.
At Georgetown, it's just one solo mission to make Ricky's night bad experience. Big switch over to Blackstock. Also Manu. Go through Danny Griffin. Bob Lilly says worth his weight in gold.
But you've seen just the ability to play in both sides. How many times, especially in the second half, he stepped up into the middle of the field. That's a nice move there.
Blackstock. That's going to stay in. Header down. Finds loss. Well, Pittsburgh finally creating something here in the second half of play after their best chance came at about the 40-minute mark.
And a lot of their attacking phase of the game has just came because Danny Griffin has stepped up into the middle part of the field. He unbalances this loose city midfield structure. As a result of that, there's real estate elsewhere. Blackstock understands he stays high and wide and puts a lot of pressure on Jake Morris to do the defensive side of the ball. And there's a reason why, like you just mentioned, Mike, how highly Danny Griffin is touted by Bob Lilly.
Bad giveaway. Ball in front. Goal! Kizza! Pittsburgh level on the road. Pittsburgh will cry no tears for the Louisville faithful. They've evened the game. It's their first goal of the season and not a moment too soon.
We talked about a good start to the second half for the Riverhounds. Just a sloppy touch from Tosh, and you just see the numbers advancing to the 18-yard box. Ordonez gets caught ball watching, slow in communication between him and Adams and Kizza. You give him that time and space, about 7 yards out, put it on target, you give yourself a chance against a run of play. Yes, Bob Lilly and the Riverhounds won't matter. 1-1 here at Lynn Family Stadium.
My, oh my, Edward Kizza, 4 goals last year. That was a goal Pittsburgh desperately needed. Their third game this year without a goal. They felt like they created enough against Orange County, but they went behind in just the 3rd minute of that game. Well, now they've broken through, and the traveling support has something to cheer about. And this Hounds team suddenly must have immense confidence that they could come here and do what few teams ever managed to do. Beat Louisville at Lynn Family Stadium. As Blackstock scoops it up, today his 24th birthday. Probably didn't anticipate having to work just this hard coming off the bench in the first half as a tactical adjustment. Really cool story coming out of Coastal Carolina. He got some time, but ultimately chose to move on, go back toward his hometown in Georgia. Played at Clayton State, that's Division II, and his numbers were exquisite. Harris picks it up, plays behind Serrano. His options wide, and this gets sent away. And Blackstock, now at the age of 24, may see a substantial increase in time. He's come off the bench to start this year, but has shown really well today.
He's changed the complexion of this game just with his positioning. Putting a lot of pressure on the shape of Lou City just by staying high and wide. Now Jake Morris needs to make a decision. Do I stay compact with my back three, or do I go out and face Blackstock? And that's something that Bob Lilly really wanted to exploit coming into Lynn Family Stadium. Said the field is massive. We need to have them chase and cover ground. Something that was so impressive about the goal, Mike, was you forced a turnover. Your first look is forward, something I was mentioning in that first half. You have to break a line of pressure, and you start to see the confidence starting to grow here for the Riverhounds.
Oh, they're doing it now. Deanne. Blackstock. Blackstock went for goal and hammers it right at Las. Now, notably from that end, the way the sun's coming down over the stadium and daylight savings helps. I know, some people, that's a touchy topic. Whether or not we should have it, that is. Count me a fan. Anywho, sun will come down over that edge, so Blackstock's going to be shooting. The ball will come out of the shadow and into the light, make for a unique look for the goalkeeper on that end. The same, obviously, coming from this side. Well, the sun not nearly as precocious down on this left-hand side as it goes down.
Now, what is the test for Lou City now? The reaction looked like for Danny Cruz and company. You concede your first goal in this season. Who's going to step up?
Louisville team that held a clean sheet away to El Paso last week. Ordonez, Las. Hit that as Tosh slinked back. So Forbes a throw for Pittsburgh. Bob Lilly looks on, the tactical guru, the sun around which all the planets align in this league year after year. Morris, Serrano, has also Manu going stride for stride. Penalty. A penalty for Louisville, won by Serrano. And they'll head to the spot with a chance to regain the advantage.
And this starts with just changing the point of attack. Really clever here from Wilson Harris, just to let this ball come across his body. And now you have Jake Morris advancing himself into a more advantageous position. Ray Serrano, quick around the corner. No need of your Osamano to leave your feet. You have to be extremely sure. We talked about how important Ray Serrano has been for Lou City. Can play a plethora of different positions. He goes down. There is contact to be had. And now Lou City step up with Tosh. Brilliant reaction from that man and his boys in purple.
Eric Dick has faced one penalty since COVID. Has hardly played in the last 5 years. He stopped Todd Wharton in 2018. He's ceded 3 of 4 professional penalty kicks against. Tosh in his career is 9 for 9. The team's lead penalty taker the last 2 years. Louisville tends to take a lot of penalties. Tosh against Dick. Tosh lines it up. Tosh scores! 10 out of 10 in his career. Tucked in, locked in. Louisville ahead again. And he sent Dick the wrong way. Never had a chance.
The technical ability it takes to pull this off. The composure, watch his eyes on Eric Dick the whole way. He goes one way, I go the other way. Thank you very much. Cool as you would like from the center back. And he gives Lou City a lead here in the 66th minute.
That goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. 6 goals last year from Sean Tosh. He did the vast majority of that damage from that position at the spot. And Louisville trails for merely, or rather level for merely 6 minutes before they regain the lead. Into the air away from Serrano, who won that penalty. Walty knocks it away. This is just the latest of a long series of heavyweight title bouts between Pittsburgh and Louisville. Full speed ahead. Kizza got knocked away. Serrano, Blackstock got a piece, and Harris retains. Ball threaded through. Comes back to Dick. This is the 24th all-time meeting. Louisville is 1-10, lost 5, drawn 8. Interestingly, it is even in Louisville, 5-5-1. But Louisville away to Pittsburgh, 5 wins, 7 draws. They have never lost at Highmark. Whatever you think you know about these two teams, this series is the opposite.
The madness we were talking about.
What a ball over the top, dips in, Serrano. 1v1, cuts inside, he drops off, Serrano, the shot, bounces into deck.
You start to see the freedom come out for the front three for Lou City. If you're Serrano, you want to put Osamano on his heel just a little bit more, and as his ball rotates back around, makes a wrong decision. Very difficult to beat Eric Dick from that distance. When you're facing the wrong way, that ball should be being played into Wilson Harris or Jake Morris, who's making the overlapping run. But this is the type of free-flowing football that Danny Cruz wants to play, especially higher up the field with Adrian Perez, Ray Serrano, and Wilson Harris at the thick of everything.
That knocked out of play. This is not the only action ongoing right now in the championship. Over on ESPN Plus, Loudoun United grabbed an early lead. Wesley Leggett. We're going to see Abdoulaye Diop score in the 56th and pull Detroit level 1-1. Dick sends it away. Loudoun entered the day top of the standings, but more games played. Started on 4 points, unbeaten through 2, and trying to go to Detroit and continue that spell. Hartford taking all 3 points today will leave the weekend on 6, and if Louisville holds on, they'd be with them atop. Walty, that ball was epic! Oh, wow! Kizza! And now they say it's offside. That was one of the most jaw-dropping services I've seen in this league in a long, long time. And there is no VAR to look again.
The technical ability, the vision, and the execution. I do think it is a handball on Kizza. His first touch lets him down just a tiny bit, pops up and hits his extension of the right arm. But take nothing away, like you said, Mike, from the ball from Walty. Spectacular vision.
That ball might have touched the fabric on Ordonez. Harris went up and he's down and he's holding his head. On the other end, it's Robbie Mertz a few feet away with his head to the ground. We've had 3 or 4 of these aerial collisions that have left both sides worse for the wear.
Awkward fall for Wilson Harris and same for Robbie Mertz on the secondary action. Both special players for their respective clubs. Good. When you talk about Wilson Harris, you see the goals, you see the assists, you see the ability to bring players in, but you do not really talk about his vision. As he lets his ball come across, just look at the yellow jerseys he eliminates. About 4 players. He continues his run, Ray Serrano on top of your screen. He recycles it, and he's just quicker. A little bit more slippery, feels the contact, and if you're Osamano, I mentioned it, when you go down, you need to be extremely sure that you're gonna make any sort of play on the ball. You get it all wrong, and now you're down 2-1. But Wilson Harris, the vision to understand, we start on one side, we end on the other, really well executed from Lou City there.
So changes are incoming. It's a trio, and it'll be a pair of Pittsburgh debuts. So Bradley Sample, the holding midfielder from Illinois, played 5 years at the University of Louisville, 4 NCAA tournament appearances. He came in through the December Combine, which in Pittsburgh terms is where they pick up about half their roster year after year and ultimately bring them into the team and see them off to new locales. Also, the debut in Pittsburgh black and gold for Keziah Sterling. You've seen a bunch of him. I have too in League One at South Georgia Tormenta. That kid is a stud at that level. I'm excited to see him get the chance.
Really good opportunity for Sterling. He can show you a completely different profile than Dien. Can pop into the hole, can stretch the back line, has pace, has tenacity, a full striker, and Bob Lilly was extremely excited to see this man make his debut. So how quickly can he get in a rhythm, and what's his service look like into him? That's going to be a big question for the Riverhounds.
Subs are brought to you by Fortnite. The full trio, it's Suber, Sample, and Sterling. The 3 S's on for Etu, Forbes, and Dien. So Forbes concludes his record-tying appearance for the Hounds, and he'll look forward to trying to snap that long-standing number. His 196th would do the job against the Rowdies in 2 weeks. Harris appeals play on. Louisville is preparing a triple sub of their own. They've yet to make a change today. Pittsburgh has 1 sub remaining, and they do still have that window to use it. Ball driven in, knocked down by Kiza, denied by an apparent handball, though he looked offside a hair as well. Ball whistled back across. Header skews it past Blackstock. Louisville making changes now. So Niall McCabe enters, 20 appearances last year. Injuries hamstringing him again. Starting 6 games. He comes off the bench here, replaces Davila in midfield. The sub brought to you by Fortnite. Jake Morris checks out. Amadou Dia makes his season debut at outside back. And then Perez comes out, and Evan Davila comes in off the bench. Makes his home debut. Said the chance to play with his brother is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He'll play with his brother, but not today. One comes in, the other goes out, and saves us all, commentators everywhere, the pain of trying to figure it out.
We're on our phone call with Danny Cruz. I mentioned how good McCabe was. Watch out here.
Harris getting after it, and Griffin knocks it back. Dick has to play this with his feet. Dia.
Going back to our conversation with Danny Cruz about McCabe, I thought he changed the game against El Paso. Just gave structure and a sense of security in the center of the park for Lou City. A player that is extremely talented in terms of possession, but also leadership. And then you welcome Dia as well. Work rate on both sides of the ball, provides quality, especially in the final third. He's going to be a big part of Lou City in this 2024 season.
One of 7 home debutants today for Louisville City. Off that of Mertz. Louisville 2024 ticket packages available now. Next home match comes on March 30th, 4 p.m. against Birmingham Legion. Bring your family and your friends to Lynn Family Stadium. The boys in purple face the Birmingham Legion. Tickets are available at loucity.com/tickets. Ball finding its way through. The whistle was always going to blow. It was Kiza through again. And this is a dangerous, dangerous man. Intent on putting a little more money in his pocket.
We talked about playing with 2 strikers. What does the relationship look like? Watch the run from Kiza and the vision from Sterling. You let it go. You come around the corner, just a little bit overzealous in terms of the run, and the timing is just off. But you could get those two players on the same page for Bob Lilly. Can strike a lot of fear in this Eastern Conference. And I do think for the remainder of this game, as Sample comes in next to Walty, we're going to see Robbie Mertz on the ball a lot more as he's on it right now.
That's a bit behind. Louisville has recovered it at the edge of the center circle. Amadou Dia. Sprayed down the line. Riverhounds take control. Fans head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll open for the next, let's call it 7 minutes. Vote now, twitter.com/LouCityFC. Time is a factor, Mr. Dia. Adams trying to prod this away. Comes in to the aforementioned Mertz. Spent a bit of time away in Atlanta, but it's at this point becoming harder and harder to imagine Pittsburgh without Robbie Mertz. Dia. Appeal from Osamanu is heard. '80th minute in Louisville. Lou City leads Pittsburgh 2-1. Blackstock. That'll slip over the top. Sample was making run. Falls to Kizza. He was blockaded. Suber hangs this up.
Just no presence in the center of the box. As Kiz is peeled off about 20 yards away from his attacking 18-yard box. Someone needs to have a deep-lying run to advance himself. You only have Sterling versus about 4 Lou City defenders. So if you are Sample or Walty, as Robbie Mertz kickstarted that attacking movement, you have to have the ability to advance yourself higher up the field.
Loss again. Dia. Adams. Loss. Louisville trying to see this over the line against this heated conference rival. Foul there, free kick. Pittsburgh want to play quick. Or so it appeared. Wind really whipping today. Being in the Big East, St. John's playing on top of a honest-to-God parking garage. But that's the highest point in Queens. I always remember the ball sort of wiggling away on a corner kick.
Not fun.
No.
I'll tell you what, you play in every condition, but wind is the worst.
Yeah.
Ability to read the flight of the ball, the way that it travels through the air, such a difficult.
It seemed like it was going to make its way out by its lonesome. That's not the case. Jansen Wilson, the header, and so Blackstock goes to work. Well, if there's lightning, get off the field. If there's snow, find an orange ball, or more likely than not, get off the field. Wind, deal with it. Feel for a handball. And it looked like it was more out of self-defense from Niall McCabe. This into the stands. Take a look up in the stands. Louisville native. Loving on me. No, we're loving on you, Jack Harlow. He's got a call to take. He'll step inside for a moment.
You're going to talk to him after the game?
I'm not sure he's taking my call. Big Lou City supporter over the years. Louisville preparing their fourth and penultimate substitution at this point. Pittsburgh still has a couple options. Could go to Johnson or Hogan off the bench for their last sub. And if there's a time to do it, it's probably right about now. You'd think that would be Emmanuel Johnson set to come in. Imagine if he scores on Damian Loss, his former Austin teammate. How do you celebrate that? It's not your former club, but it is your former keeper. Griffin probing. He's familiar with this midfield role. Slipped it ahead brilliantly. Only to see it love tapped by Blackstock to Loss.
I'd be very surprised if you are Bob Lilly, if you don't go out through the 2024 season and try to get out a center back. Because what they'll do, they'll push Danny Griffin in the center of the park. And we've seen how good he's been.
Appears Pittsburgh inclined to bring Walty off here in a moment, so get off a central midfielder, add in a center forward in the final minutes. Try and go find a second equalizer today. Navigating through midfield, Kizza drops back. Biasi picked off by Dia. He is sprinting ahead. Winder finds Dia, finds Harris. Dia making a central run. Harris trying to corral. Lost it to the line. Final subs. Louisville will have one left, rather. Home debut for Sam Gleadle. Fans here in Louisville don't know him yet. Most likely, most of his career in the Western Conference. They're going to love this dude. And then Emmanuel Johnson on the other way. That's it for Harris. Subs are brought to you by Fortna. Harris is tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Scores the go-ahead goal at the stroke of halftime. Sees Pittsburgh equalize. We're going to see Louisville regain the lead from the spot just after the hour mark. Good performance from Harris.
I thought you brought it up earlier in their first half, saying if we can get him about 15 or 20 goals this season for Lou City, he's going to set them up extremely nice in terms of the success. He's going to get the opportunities. He's going to get the service, because just look at the talent that's around him. 2 games running, 2 goals, just the way that he takes them as well. Very confident. Another good showing for Wilson Harris.
Elijah Winder picks up the bone-dry roofing yellow card. Crowd roars. They announce the man of the match to the assembled 9,313 here at Lynn Family Stadium this afternoon. "50 degrees, 15-mile-an-hour winds. But at least the sun's out. We'll take that. Driven over the top, asking questions. Loss high points the ball on what was intriguing service truly from Mertz.
Good goalkeeping from Damian Loss. With the oncoming traffic, as a goalkeeper, you have to be very decisive coming off your line. No spillage whatsoever. And we've seen the remainder of this match. Danny Griffin, he's going to push higher. He's going to play next to Sample. Get him and Robbie Mertz. We've seen glimpses of it, of how dynamic and the understanding between the two players.
This will be Louisville's final change. Sub brought to you by Fortna. Good work today by the Elizabethtown, Kentucky native. Jansen Wilson trained the last 2 summers with the club, trialed in preseason, became clear, even with all the options they have at outside back, Wilson was ready from the jump. 2018 Kentucky High School Player of the Year, on to Kentucky and then Belmont, now into the pros. Wes Sharpie on in his stead.
Danny Cruz said he was going to be a player that surprises a lot of people in USL Championship. Jansen Wilson obviously takes a lot of risks, likes to express himself high up the field, but also has the work rate to do his defensive duties. So it was a perfect fit for how Lou City wants to play, especially in the wide areas.
That final substitution was brought to you by Fortna. That's 5 in for both sides. Now, a knock here. We begin stoppage time, which is presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Sharpie only just came into the game. Now, there's 2 things of note here as it pertains to substitutes. For one, both teams have made their 5 changes. The concussion substitution remains in the game. So if a player has to come out due to a head injury, you're granted a 6th sub, but so too is the opposition. The other note about subs that really took me by surprise, in certain leagues around the world, COVID occurred. The rosters expanded for game day to 20 from 18, and they've stayed that way. That wasn't ever the case in USL Championship, but what they have done is create 2 slots for players 17 years or younger to feature in home games, 19 or 20 on your roster sheet, that don't count against the initial 18. In this instance, it's Hayden Stamps, the 16-year-old defender out of Kentucky Country Day, who's out of the Louisville Academy and available on the bench today, but not a part of the 18, a part of the 20 for the home team. So experience, even if you're sitting amongst pros on the bench, substantial. And if he ever happens to get in the game as one of those players, may make his debut under that rule.
Exactly what I was going to say, the experience that you get just to be in and around the team on game day, understand the atmosphere at Lynn Family Stadium, what these players do in terms of getting prepared for a game.
Ball snapped ahead, and there's Loss. The leap out on the ball before Griffin could make any contact. 2 minutes into stoppage time. But you know, Ricky, what strikes me is, and obviously late here, still a chance to get something out of this game. Sure, he doesn't play, but he's front row seat to all this. If you're the championship, you need to find ways to be innovative in how you bring young players into the league, and that's one way to do it. Kizza puts this out wide. Blackstock crossing. That hung for a long time. No one touched it until Loss engulfed it.
It's a really good ball from Kizza as it cycles over, but just watch the two movements inside the 18-yard box for the Riverhounds. They make the same run. Everyone makes that near post run. No one's crashing at that far post. And any coach, not only in USL Championship, but around the world, will tell you the 3 spots that you need to hit are near post, far post, and top of the 6-yard box.
Cleared away with Gleedle pursuing with no showing me due to the injury midweek. We had a feeling Gleedle could play in the 9 as the striker. There's, except for goalkeeper, we think, Gleedle might play every position on the field at some point this year. Another minute 20 to go here. There's plenty more action later tonight. The USL Championship on CBS Sports, Golazo Network, and ESPN platforms. All season long, catch live matches, expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com, the complete USL TV listings. Tosh, a throw to come. Kizza. Ordonez trying to ensure his former team don't salvage a point. This ball launched ahead. Dick by his lonesome. Out over the halfway line. How? The Louisville back line must have got 50 yards upfield. Well done. Ball settled, turning. Evan Davila lays it over. We've gone the 5 minutes. Ball floated back through toward Gleedle. Is there any time remaining? Pittsburgh's about to find out. Short-armed. Out to the halfway line. The hold-up play is on. Trying to spin free. Sterling no further. His Riverhound debut has been quiet. Launched upfield, Evan Davila beneath it. Sends the cross by Gleedle, Serrano! Serrano scores! There's the dagger! Louisville all 3 points in their home opener.
How's your touch? That's one thing. Secondary, it's the movement. From Sam Gleedle. He pulls out Osumano with him. And as you have the vision here from Davila, it's a secondary run from Serrano. We'll take a look at it here. Exquisite first touch, doesn't break his stride. The run from Gleedle. Pulls out the center back with him, and then all comes down to the magic, Ray Serrano. Thank you very much. I close my hips, I send Dick packing, and I put the ball into the back of the net, and I give 3 goals for Lou City and 3 points in the pocket.
Serrano takes advantage of a shifting Dick and puts Louisville 3-1 ahead in the final seconds here. That goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. It's not quite the last kick of the game, but it does set the tone. So too does this win. Pittsburgh have dropped their first 3 games of the year, and Louisville to a 2-0 start, top of the East. A 3-1 win in their home opener.
If you're Danny Cruz, you have to be very pleased with how professional your boys came into this game. Had a lot of the ball, had a lot of the chances in the first half. You didn't find the equalizer right before halftime. Could have been very easy just to hang your head. And the quality came out, especially in the final third. But if you're Bob Lilly, you need to fix things up. And two things, playing out of the back, extremely sloppy, and just have a presence higher up the field.
And with this Lou City win, you can head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's tomorrow to get a free small Frosty. No purchase necessary. May we suggest vanilla? Let's take a look at tonight's move of the match. It's presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
But just watch the body movement from Wilson Harris, the ability to get his feet right and watch the hips. Calmly opens them up, calmly slots it into that far post. He was massive, Wilson Harris, and he gets his second goal on the season.
Harris moving and grooving through the back line, and Serrano got the goal he deserved at the very end. Louisville City take all 3 points against Pittsburgh. Can't wait to see this matchup again. We've got plenty more coming up in our Pulse game. The final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office. Louisville 3, Pittsburgh 1. Pulse game wrap-up is coming up.
At Typical Insurance, you're just another senior.
That is the third health insurance commercial with seniors at a farmer's market.
Right? Don't get me wrong, I love a fresh heirloom, but it's like those companies think we're all the same.
That's why I chose Humana. Before I signed up, I spoke to someone who actually listened to what I needed. She told me about benefits that were right for me, like vision and dental, all in my budget. I finally feel in control. What are you doing?
Taking control.
Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. Woo!
Whoa. Hey. What are we, Steve?
Winners.
I love you.
Get a new 24 RAV4 or electrified RAV4 hybrid with 4.75 APR financing, or lease a gas-powered RAV4 for $299 a month with 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
This Pulse game is presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Nearly 10,000 in attendance at Lynn Family Stadium, and Pittsburgh looked poised to ruin the party. Louisville scored the final 2 goals of the game, win it 3-1. Ricky, Mike, we take a look at full-time highlights. Skip to the final kicks of the first half. Harris, the opener.
And he was just so good. Yes, he gets his goal, but what he did off the ball was extremely impressive for Danny Cruz. The first line of pressure, and you get rewarded in the end. Takes it so calmly, and he's extremely confident at this moment in time.
Now, Louisville was taking advantage of Pittsburgh being a bit out of sorts. In this build-up, Pittsburgh responds in kind, and Kizza, the beneficiary.
And something we didn't see a lot from the Riverhounds was when you force a turnover, your first look needs to be forward. It's a heavy touch from Tosh, but the movement from Kizza, he understood if I get myself in a more advantageous opportunity and I get clean contact, I'm going to draw this game even at 1.
First goal of the year, the tears would be very real, but not the way he thought. So Louisville gets forward just 6 minutes later and regain the lead.
But it's effort, it's vertical running, and it's movement from Ray Serrano. Quicker than Osumanu. He gets his challenge completely wrong. Clear pen, there's a lot of contact, no problem whatsoever, and this man steps up.
10 for 10 from the spot in his career in the run of play. And Louisville regained the lead just past the hour mark. Louisville continued to go for a goal when they could have just seen this out. Serrano is able to finish the job.
Just pure class from top to bottom. First, it's a touch from Davila. It's a run from Guido, and then it's the skill from Serrano. Terrific team goal for Lucy to cap this thing off.
Serrano able to get Dick off his feet and can the third goal for Louisville City. Here's a look at the final match stats. Pittsburgh, let's be honest, the first 30 minutes looked terrible. They just didn't have this right. The final 60 minutes, a better idea of what's to come. This is a Pittsburgh team that's going to hang around, but 0-3 to start, that is very uncharacteristic.
And it was decision-making that was hurting Bob Lilly's side, especially when the back line had the ball. Too many times you're trying to force it into a central location where there's a lot of numbers and a lot of traffic, but the game really settled down when you gave structure. Blackstock came in, and he did it very well for the Riverhounds. He just stayed high and wide, and then spacing became prevalent for the way Bob Lilly wants to play. But in the end, Lou City was clinical in the second half, and defensive, they were very, very good. One mishap from Sean Tosh, but if you're Danny Cruz, from top to bottom, you have to be very pleased.
So Louisville win this one over Pittsburgh. They'll be back home next weekend to see Birmingham here at Lynn Family Stadium. You'll see it right here on WBKI and ESPN+. Hounds get a week off, and then they get vaunted Tampa Bay on April the 6th. For Ricky Lopez, Espin, and our entire team in Louisville and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching as Louisville City wins this first matchup of the year against the Hounds. 3-1 to go top of the East for the moment. So long for now.